Hey everybody, Mike Lawson here with CU Broadcast. Hey, recently we spoke with Survey and Ballot Systems' very own John Westerhouse and GeoVista Federal Credit Union's Stephen Asplund about how Survey Ballot Systems helped GeoVista successfully host their annual meetings vote during COVID when nobody was together, but everyone did this virtually. So they're on the show telling us how they did that. And in this particular clip, Stephen talks about what attracted them to Survey and Ballot Systems virtual voting technology. And then John chimed in and told us how exactly it worked and some results that ensued as well from this vote. So check it out. So what was appealing about them to you and then to your credit union's goals as well?
Well, last year in 2020, we were fortunate enough, we held our annual meeting before COVID was really a huge problem because we always hold it in February.
Okay.
And moving forward, as March, April, May hit, a lot of other credit unions were talking about how they were going to do a virtual annual meeting. So we looked at that, and I'm part of the business development group for CUNA Mutual. And in there, we have a lot of discussions, and a lot of the discussions that came up was survey ballot systems. They talked about how easy they made it, what was going on. So we researched that, and we were hoping that COVID was not going to last a full year. And we got into October, November timeframe, and I sat down with the CEO and a couple other of our senior members of our management team, and we went over what if scenarios. And I said, we probably need to make a real hard decision here if we're going to be able to do a live meeting or a virtual meeting. Well, in December, they decided we're going to have to go with the virtual meeting. And Survey Ballot Systems, or SBS, they were at the top of the list. We checked out a couple of others, but they came highly recommended from other people within the credit union that had used them. So we contacted John. John and I, we probably had a half a dozen conversations and demos, and I kept bringing more and more people in, and they were like, I like this product. And I'm like, all right, let's do what we can.
Right. Yeah. Because we had to pivot, right? So what were those conversations like, John?
Well, I think at first we were just really trying to figure out where Stephen and GeoVista were coming from. And so to be able to figure out through those, like you said, through the demos and through conversations of, all right, how do you want your virtual annual meeting to look? And then what is this platform like? Mm-hmm. So it was at first just describing it verbally, and then eventually said, all right, do you have something that can give us a demo where I can share it with my team? So I gave him a video link that was really easy. That's actually been really helpful for a lot of credit union leaders to just take and then give to their team and review it internally on their time, and then come back and say, okay, here's our feedback. Here's, we understand a little bit more about the product, and then can it do this, or, we need this to happen. And that's kind of what those conversations were, really fleshing out what the need was. Mm-hmm. And it turned out that Direct Vote Live is a really good fit for them.
So how did that, once you guys got the meeting going, Stephen, so how did that look to the folks in the meeting to vote and attend the meeting and stuff? So what's the interface and all that? How did all that work for you guys?
Well, what we did is we had a Zoom meeting going on, and then we sent out, and SBS makes it really easy because we could calculate the vote. We saw the votes as they were coming in. We decided to shut off. We didn't want to know how people voted, but we wanted to see how the votes were coming in, so that we knew when we had a quorum and we had all of the votes. We had more than enough people show up for our annual meeting, and we would open up the voting. We would send them, they'd get a text message on their phone saying, hey, this is the question. These are your choices. Please respond now. And then it would pop up on a screen. We were watching a computer monitor, and it would say this many people voted, and this is where it is. And then after about 1 to 3 minutes, depending on what the question was, we would close the voting. We would get a tally, and then we would read the tally and say, okay, we have a unanimous decision to do this. And it made it super simple. And the venue that we used, we had 2 giant computer screens. One, we could watch the Zoom meeting, and then the other one, we could see how the balloting worked. We could see the questions go out because we were in a room, and we had 2 of our board members and our CEO were in the board, and then I had my tech guy, me, and one of my bosses were in the room watching the meeting well away. We were able to spread out, and with this, our members could see the vote. They knew that the vote was being accurately calculated. And the whole thing is it was 100%. And at the very end, we got reports downloaded showing how many people voted, how many people were online. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. It's going to be everything that we need for our auditors when they come in, because we could show we had a quorum. We could show that everybody had an opportunity to vote. And you know how in a Zoom meeting, if you don't mute everybody, you can't hear anything. Right. This way right here, we had the opportunity, people could raise their hands on Zoom, but with this right here, the comments I got were like, wow, that was so easy. It was amazing. I had one 80-year-old member say that was the easiest thing I ever did in the world. And she is not tech savvy at all, but she loved it.
Thank you very much, Stephen and John, and stay tuned for more news here on CU Broadcast. And if you want to see the entire episode, check it out right below the show notes.